Hello, what is going on, guys? So for this one, make sure you have a good amount of space because we're going to be doing a little bit more what's called functional stretching, also known as dynamic. So in this case, a lot of these movements can be done walking or moving forwards. Most of them, I believe I do all stagnant just because due to my angle in my room, as well as the camera situation. So feel free to go ahead and get a little bit of space. But the idea of a lot of these movements is they are moving and less static. You're not standing still or pushing into it necessarily the whole time. So for the first one, I just kind of worked up, loosened up the legs by doing some high knees, getting the blood flowing in the legs, and you want to drive your knees as high as possible. For the next one, what I did is I start with just my left side. This is left arm and left leg, and I swing it all the way behind me and then all the way up to at least shoulder, chest height, depending on your flexibility. Now, you can have a little bit of bend to it, but again, you want to swing it from your hip and not bend your knee and kick it upwards. You want to make sure you do it even on all sides. Now, once again, like I said, if you wanted to do it in a walking line, you can kick it up, stretch, and then bring it down, plant it forwards like you walk, and then just continue to walk in a line. Same thing for the next, I think, most of the majority of these moves, and once again, I'll let you know as we go. But swinging the leg and taking your time, keeping your core upright, your head is upright, focused on just your legs, glutes, back, hips. Next one we're going to do is we're going to work on our abductor adductors. Basically, the first one we're going to do is we're going to take it from the the inside or across your body and swinging it up, wide, and all the way out. And in this case, I'm simply alternating. So you'll see me go across my body, high knee, swing it around all the way out as far as I can. A little bit of pivot on the heel. You can keep your heel flat. Or you can do this one again walking forward. So I swing it all the way out, and that would be a step forwards right here. And I step forwards into it. I swing it all the way out, opening up the hips, controlling it. And again, I did it by a wall if I needed to, in case, again, balance is a thing. Otherwise, you do get a little bit of training that balance coordination by simply doing it without that. Once again, though, always make it even. In this case, you see me adjust it. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to alternate. So now I'm taking it outside, swinging it all the way across, not stopping in front of me, but across and down. Again, watch it all the way as wide as it can go before I pick it up. Swing my knee high, up, in, and over. And this is one, once again, take your time on it, or you can do that walking motion forwards. It's a good functional movement. These ones are better done for, especially if you're going to be sports active, you're going to do a lot more cardio movements, versus static have been proven to be a little bit better for more of that heavier weightlifting, more of that, raw power lift, stuff like that. Both have lots of advantages, but one thing I will say is you never want to do ballistic stretching, and that's where you're bouncing in and out of it. It's actually proven to be bad for you. Less flexibility, has a higher risk of tearing something, a lot of other things. For this one, what we're going to do, a very common one, feet together, knees together, and you're going to lean in towards it, trying to touch your toes. Big thing you want to do is you want to keep your head down. Now, as you see me coming up, I'm taking my time. I'm pushing my back all the way up like a scared cat, arching it and slowly coming up, keeping my hands as close to my body as possible. I transition immediately into a fluid motion, going into a big step forwards with my back leg being as straight as possible, and I'm only bending into my front leg, hitting the hip flexor. You notice I'm keeping my core upright, taking my time to slowly lean into it. Once I get a good stretch in my hip flexor, I begin to lean forwards into it, and I'm going to now push down on the top of my knee, extending that front leg forwards into it, and you'll feel that front hamstring really get a nice stretch in there. Hold that in. I'm going to go into a transition on the same side. What I do is I take my back leg and, first what I did is I go back and forth between that. So once again, hip flexor, push back into it, and then I'll come back again into the hamstring. We're working front, back, front, back. I think I did it 2 or 3 times before I go back into it front. Then I take my leg, I open it wide, gives you more balance, more range of motion, and I take my arm and I swing it wide into what's called an open-ended windmill. Opens it up, notice my core switch, I'm facing my chest towards the wall, my arm is back as far as I can, and my head follows through. But you see my leg stance, how wide it is. If they're stacked in a line, you're not going to be able to keep that stance. You're going to lose your balance and fall over. So then I come back up, I step out of it, and I repeat it for the other side. Same transitional movement. I step into a big step forwards, keeping my back leg straight. Look at me emphasize the back leg. You want to keep it straight. I'll show you a bend, and then how you want to keep it straight. Your core is upright and engaged, leaning into that front foot. Once again, though, trying not to let that knee go too far over the toe. You can see mine is just even to it. Any farther is bad. You actually even see me recorrect it. Avoid those knees over the toes anytime you ever do a lunge, a squat. Those motions are not good for that ACL in that knee. Now again, pushing forwards back on the top of the knee into our hamstring stretch. Leaning into it this time. You notice my core isn't upright. And I'll alternate back and forth between those as well, making sure it's nice and even. Back into it as my knee bends in the front, my core comes back upright, my head stays up, so the weight goes more downwards. I go back into my hammy. And once I get into my third transition, watch my leg. You open it up. If you keep it in that similar line, shoulder width apart, you can do it, but it's going to be a lot harder to balance. So take that leg, open it much wider. Minding a puppy's face, of course. Didn't make it easy. And swinging the gate, opening wide. Notice my chest, my head, my shoulders, my arm. Everything follows through, so I am parallel. My hips even open wide. Hold it in. You should feel your core stretch, your back stretch, everything in this one. Nice, good full body. And then easing it back in. Slow, controlled movement on this one. I step out of it, and I readjust. Take a second, kind of breathe. Focus on your bearings. If you're lightheaded, make sure you wiggle your toes. Allow it to come. Now, next one is kind of like a Heisman. You want to take your elbow, right elbow, and go to the outside of your left leg. So you're crossing your body, twisting your core up, and your hips the opposite directions. Once again, full body engagement. I think I did about 5 or 6 on each side. Once again, do the same number to the other side. And it goes outside of the body, knee to outside of the elbow. Outsides, outsides. Readjust on each one of these. Take your time. Focus on your balance. Alrighty, shaking it out a little bit. I'm going to start moving on my upper body. That hit a lot of legs, back, core. Now it's time to kind of go into a X pattern here where I go over, cross, alternate that side, bring it up behind me, and then down, back, crossing again. So you do that side to side, cross, cross, and then we go into that up transition, cross, cross. Warming up the arms, the shoulders, getting the flow in it. Keeping the arms nice and straight, feeling the tension. We're next going into some backwards reverse shrugs, making them as wide as you can, big circles, squeezing in all directions. Do about 5 of them that way, and then we're going to go forwards this time, squeezing up, back, down, round, all the way around. Big one on this one, you want to keep your head up, looking forwards. If you turn your head and you start looking, it can make you have a lot of neck tension and pull something in your neck. Not what you want to do. Then I'm going to kind of readjust, loosen the traps up again. I'm going to take my arm, and I'm going to go into a side bend. Single arm side bend is going to allow you a little bit more, and it's going to allow your hips to come out just a little bit farther. So not only are my hips going to the right, but my body and my torso is going to the left. Same thing, keeping it nice and tucked to your ear like you're going to dive into a pool, allowing my hips to go out the opposite direction, and staying as parallel laterally as I can be. Don't go forwards, don't go backwards, so you change it to your back. Now we're going to do some hip circles. Once again, these motions are all fluid. You want to be doing more functional movements that you would do kind of in a lot of sports activities. That's what makes it a little bit more dynamic of a stretch. Then again, a static stretch where you're doing those holds. Now again, like that feet together toe touch, that would be considered more of a static, and that's a good comparison there. So I do big circles, pushing my hips all directions, all the way around as wide as I can, forwards, back, side to sides, and then I alternate it going the other direction. I will say I did slow the video down just a little bit to give a little bit more time. On most of these movements, you want to give at least 15 to 30 seconds. Minimum, especially static. Static, you want to do a little bit longer if you can even do that. 30 seconds is the minimum to kind of prevent injury and get a little flexibility increase, but to really push that flexibility, you want to be trying to aim for about 45 to a minute if you can. So we're going to do a really good one that's a high for those desk workers, everyone who's at a computer all day and they're getting that neck tension or getting a good slouch. What you do is you shrug it straight up directly into your ears, squeezing your traps, and then driving your fingertips to the floor and slightly oscillating your fingers back or hands back and forth. So you're pushing it, negating that stress, that tension that people have throughout the day, really pushing your fingertips into the floors. This one's one of the best ones for if you have migraines, headaches, a lot of tension, or if you're slouching way too much, you wake up wrong, you have a lot of neck pain. Do recommend this drone, especially you can even, if you have resistance bands, throw it over a pull-up bar or something and put some resistance downwards more than just gravity. It's a little bit more of an advanced one though, but this one's full body, nice fluid, functional. I have one more movement for us to do, and that is interlocking your fingers, tucking them in towards you, and then pushing outwards to get your wrist, your forearms in that equation. And notice that I don't just stop there. I push forwards, rolling my back out, but pushing my shoulders into it, including my serrats as well. Notice that, and then I do a little bit of twist side to side for the core to finish it. Hope everyone enjoyed my dynamic stretch. Nice fluid one, especially good for what we would do before a game of soccer, football, something like that. It's a nice, fast, fluid motion. You don't have to get on the ground as much. Really, we didn't get on the ground at all. So fantastic. Enjoy, and then shake it all out, wiggle the body, get it loose, and have a great one.